Residency Match Application Accelerator is a program in which it's a premium and private program in which I support ambitious IMGs like yourself. I help IMGs to create applications that stand out so that they can get multiple interviews and so that they can match. We are going to be talking today about what does it mean to be inside of the IMG Application Accelerator, because we are about to kick off our next cohort, which I'm really excited about. It's coming up in April. This is our early bird 2 version of the IMG Residency Match Application Accelerator, and I'm excited about it because whenever people start this process early, they're able to get so much more done and to see all of these amazing results and not be rushing in September. Applying early to the match process is in and of itself a competitive advantage that you want to work in your favor. So I'm really excited to be talking about the April cohort, and if you think this is a fit for you, you can go ahead and click on the link and apply, but let me break it down. So the first part of the process has to do with messaging, or if you're somebody who you love social media and that kind of world, you can think about it as branding, what people talk about, re-communication on social media. And so messaging is extremely important because everything starts with messaging, right? We work on creating your main message. And that's important because to get to the stage that you have gotten to, you have achieved a lot and you've done a lot, but you cannot communicate a lot. You cannot vomit on people. You need to communicate 2, 3, 4, main things, outstanding things. So you're going to need to really focus your application. And that's what we do when we create your main message. Out of all of these wonderful, amazing things that you've done, what are the things that a program most needs to care about? The other thing that's really important about your main message is that there are questions that are on everyone's mind when they are reviewing your match application, your residency application. Very basic questions you're going to need to answer, such as what you've achieved, what makes you worthy, why do you want residency training, where do you see yourself in the future, why that particular specialty. Certain key questions that your personal statement must answer to even be taken seriously, for you to even be taken seriously and to be a contender. And so when you have a main message, the beauty of it is that it's a short message. It's like a brand, right? So it's that short message, but then within that really brief message, you have answered all of the questions that people who are reviewing your application will be wondering about, and you use that main message for the entirety of the match season, right? So your main message mainly comes out in your personal statement, but it will also come out in your CV, in your letters of recommendation, in your interview. It's a continuum. You don't seem like somebody who's all over the place with having one message today, another one tomorrow, and another one next week. All right. The next step of the process inside of the IMG Residency Match Application Accelerator is the writing and the editing. This is the part that I love the most. It can take the longest. It's quite a bit, at least on my end. But the beauty of the writing and editing portion of the work is that that is really where your story is going to come out. And I cannot emphasize enough the power of your personal story when you are applying to the match. You never know what is going to strike a chord with somebody to make them want to interview you, to learn more about you as a professional, and a little bit of the personal. That balance has to be right. So the writing and editing portion of the work is where we get to tell, compared to Joe who wants to do internal medicine, compared to Pam who wants to do family medicine, compared to the 300 or 600 applications that are sitting in your inbox right now, program director, this is how I'm different. This is my story. This is my commitment. The really cool part about the writing and editing portion as well is that it's really where we bring out your ability to be memorable. And contrary to what a lot of people think, being memorable is not necessarily about having achieved 1 million things, right? It's not necessarily what you bring to the table, but how you put together what you bring to the table. And a really great analogy for that is if you think of being hungry and you walk into some place and you see a head of lettuce, or if you see a bowl of salad that's already made. If you're somebody who's pretty hungry, you're probably going to go for the pre-made bowl of salad, but it's the same lettuce, right? It's just prepared and it's dressed up and it's presented in another way. So it has a whole different appeal. So when you are writing and you are editing, you are making yourself into that delicious salad. You are taking your lettuce and putting it into something special. And so that's what we do in that portion of your work. We introduce you to the correct writing tools, and you know how to write something that is memorable, something that is engaging in your personal statement as well as in your CV, and you know how to get letters of recommendation that are also really well written. The other portion of the process that everyone crosses their fingers for when you put that kind of quality forward is your interview preparation. And some people interview better than other people, right? But I believe that everyone should have professional interview training. I do professional interview training because I also interview others. Whenever I have a big interview, I always train for the interview, because I think when you have 7 minutes, 15 minutes, 20 minutes to change your life, it needs to count, right? So we do professional interview training as well, so that you are able to translate what you have written into an oral delivery, into having an engaging conversation. You probably have multiple minis, you're gonna have to talk to many people back to back, but you will know how in every conversation to communicate with persons the value that you can add to their program, their specific program that you are sitting at that day, not just residency on a broad spectrum, but whenever you are interviewing, you're talking to that particular program with a lot of conviction and a lot of clarity and confidence as well. So the third part of our process is that interview preparation. There is another part of the process that really underlies everything, and so I wanted to bring it up, and that is strategy. I feel very passionate about this, and this has been one of the key additions to the IMG Residency Match Application Accelerator, because it's actually not something I used to do until I realized that I would get these applicants who were applying to the match for a second time and they really didn't need to be. But if I dug a little bit more, I realized that their strategy was off the first time in terms of applying to things that they really weren't that competitive for, or how they decided to go about that application process, and just realizing that it is only in your favor if you have a really strong awareness of the strengths that you bring to the table, of the weaknesses that you bring, because none of us is perfect, right? So you need to know your strengths and your weaknesses and how to leverage your strengths, how to offset your weaknesses, and still be a high value candidate. Like, you do not have to be a perfect candidate to be a candidate that has a lot, or a candidate who has a lot of value to offer, and to know how to communicate that. And so really the fourth pillar of our process is work on your strategy. So I know it's early in the year. There's always that rush towards summer, towards September. However, if you're someone who you're inside, because of COVID, or you're just ready to go otherwise and work on your application, I would love to hear from you. If any of these pillars stand out to you as an area where you need the most work, feel free to drop me a comment or to send me a message. But again, if this program is of interest to you, just click the link and apply for a free consultation. And I'd love to talk with you. We're going to get going in early April, and it's going to be a couple of weeks of putting out some really good work so that you will be first in line to upload your application once ERS opens. And that's what I want for you, because you want this to be a pretty low stress process. I mean, it can be pretty low stress, clear, easy process. Get your stuff in on time and get the match result that you want. So thank you so much for tuning in. If this was helpful for you, be sure to share it with your friends and with your colleagues, and we will talk again. Take care.